The gun went off. Glass shattered. And Amara Okafor realized three things simultaneously. 1. She'd just been kidnapped by Seoul's most dangerous mafia boss. 2. He was in a wheelchair but somehow more terrifying than any man she'd ever met. And 3. She had exactly 10 seconds to prove her worth or end up like his last art expert, dead. Is the vase real? Kang Min-jun asked, his voice ice-cold as armed men surrounded her in the Gangnam auction house. Her answer would either save her life or end it. She chose truth. It's fake. He smiled. You're coming with me. Hey fam, welcome back to Afro Diaries. Hit that subscribe button right now because this romance is about to get dangerously good. Let's get into it. The gunshot shattered the Seoul auction house silence before Amara Okafor could finish her sentence. She dove behind the mahogany podium as chaos erupted around her, the Ming Dynasty vase she'd been authenticating just seconds ago now forgotten as armed men in black suits flooded the room. Her heart hammered against her ribs, hands pressed against the cold marble floor of the Gangnam exhibition hall. This was supposed to be a simple authentication job. She'd come to Seoul 6 months ago on a work visa, building a reputation as one of the few African art experts specializing in Asian antiquities. Just verify the vase, collect her fee, return to her small studio apartment in Itaewon. But the cold metal of a gun barrel pressing against the back of her neck told her everything had changed. Stand up slowly, a voice commanded in Korean. Amara understood perfectly. She'd spent 2 years studying the language before moving here, determined to succeed in Seoul's competitive art world. Strong hands pulled her to her feet. The auction attendees were being herded to one side by more armed men, their expensive jewelry glittering under the chandelier lights as they whimpered in fear. But these weren't ordinary robbers. They moved with military precision, their focus not on the terrified elite but on controlling the room. Her eyes swept across the scene until they landed on him. The man in the wheelchair commanded the space like a king on a throne, despite his seated position. Kang Min-jun was younger than she expected, perhaps early 30s, with sharp features that could have been carved from ice. His black suit probably cost more than her yearly rent, and his dark eyes assessed her with the cold calculation of a predator. 2 men flanked his wheelchair, hands resting on visible weapons. Bring her, he said simply in Korean, his voice carrying across the room despite its quiet tone. Amara was pushed forward, her practical flats soundless on the polished floor as she approached. She lifted her chin, refusing to show the fear coursing through her veins. Growing up in Lagos before coming to Korea had taught her that predators could smell weakness, regardless of continent. You're the authenticator, Min-jun stated in English, switching languages smoothly. Amara Okafor, graduated top of your class from University of Lagos, moved to Seoul 2 years ago, self-taught in Asian antiquities, reputation for never being wrong. He gestured to the vase still sitting on its display stand. Is it real? She swallowed hard, answering in Korean. The vase is authentic. Yuan Dynasty, not Ming. Approximately 1350, based on the cobalt blue pigmentation and the floral pattern execution. His eyebrow raised slightly at her fluent Korean. Worth? $12 million, possibly 15 at international auction. The faintest smile touched his lips, but it held no warmth. You just saved your life. You're also the only person in Seoul who could have told me that. He turned his wheelchair with practiced ease. Take her. Wait, what? Amara stepped back, but the guards were already gripping her arms. You can't just kidnap me. I have a visa, an employer, people will look for me. Min-jun glanced back, his expression almost bored. Miss Okafor, I control 80% of the illegal art trade in South Korea. Your visa is already cancelled, your employer has been compensated for your sudden resignation, and your apartment has been emptied. You no longer exist in the system. He paused. You'll be compensated for your time. Consider it a job offer you cannot refuse. The next hours blurred into a nightmare. Amara found herself in a black SUV with tinted windows, driving through Seoul's glittering nightscape, then out into the mountains beyond the city. They finally arrived at what could only be described as a fortress disguised as a luxury estate, somewhere in the hills overlooking the Han River. The mansion was stunning, a blend of traditional Korean Hanok architecture and modern minimalism, with armed guards at every corner. She was shown to a bedroom larger than her entire Itaewon apartment, told to clean up, and informed that dinner with the family was mandatory. Amara stared at her reflection in the mirror, still wearing her simple blue work dress, her natural hair in a professional bun. She'd come to Korea chasing opportunities in the international art world, building a life through sheer determination despite the stares and occasional discrimination. Now she was a prisoner in a mafia compound. A sharp knock preceded an elderly Korean woman entering without waiting for permission. She looked Amara up and down with undisguised disdain, speaking in rapid Korean. "You are the authenticator?" "I am," Amara replied in Korean. "And you are?" "Mrs. Kong. Minjun's mother." She circled Amara like a vulture examining carrion. "I specifically told him to find someone suitable. Not some." She switched to English, "Foreign girl." Amara's jaw tightened. "I'm very good at what I do." "We shall see." Mrs. Kong dropped a folder on the bed. "These are artifacts we've acquired. I need authentication by morning. Consider it your interview." She moved toward the door, then paused. "My son may run the business operations, but I run this family. Disappoint me, and not even he can protect you." After she left, Amara sank onto the bed, hands trembling as she opened the folder. Inside were photographs of dozens of pieces, Chinese ceramics, Korean celadon, Japanese prints, African bronze works. Some were clearly authentic. Others were spectacular forgeries. She recognized several pieces rumored to have been stolen from museums across Asia. She worked through the night, making notes, cross-referencing details from memory. If this was her way out, she'd prove her worth and negotiate her release. The morning brought no freedom, only a summons to Minjun's office. He sat behind an enormous desk, still in his wheelchair, reviewing her notes. The morning light caught the expensive metal of the chair, custom-made and clearly armored. This was a man who lived in constant danger. "Impressive," he said in Korean without preamble. "You identified the forgeries and caught 3 pieces even my experts missed." His dark eyes met hers. "You're more valuable than I thought." "Then let me go," Amara said firmly, also in Korean. "I've proven myself. I'll sign whatever NDAs you want, I won't talk to police." "Sit down, Miss Okafor." Something in his tone made her obey. Minjun steepled his fingers, studying her with that same predatory intensity. "I need someone with your skills full-time. The art trade is how we launder money, establish legitimate business fronts, move assets across borders. My previous authenticator was killed by rivals 3 months ago. Since then, I've lost millions to forgeries and bad investments." He leaned forward slightly. "You will fill that position. And if I refuse?" "You won't." He pressed a button on his desk, and a screen descended from the ceiling. Security footage appeared, her apartment building in Lagos, her younger brother leaving for school, her mother at the market stall where she sold fabrics. Amara's blood ran cold. "I'm not threatening them," Minjun said calmly, switching to English. "I'm showing you reality. My rivals know I brought you here. If I release you now without securing your loyalty, they'll assume you know too much. They'll take you to extract information. Your family will be leverage." He turned off the screen. "In my world, Miss Okafor, the only safe place is inside the organization. If you're enjoying this story, hit that subscribe button right now because this is just the beginning, and you won't want to miss what happens next." "So I'm a prisoner," Amara whispered. "You're an employee. Extremely well paid. You'll have resources, protection, and access to artifacts most experts only dream of seeing." He pulled out a contract. 1-year minimum commitment. After that, we renegotiate. She had no choice. They both knew it. Amara took the pen with shaking hands and signed her life away. The first week was a crash course in luxury and terror. Amara was given an entire wing of the mansion, a wardrobe worth more than she'd earned in her entire life, and access to Minjun's private collection of art that made her expertise sing with excitement even as her conscience screamed. She authenticated pieces, arranged shipments to Busan port, and learned the coded language of the criminal art world. Min-jun was a constant, cold presence. He ran his empire from that wheelchair with ruthless efficiency, making decisions that affected millions with the same tone he used to order tea. She watched him calmly order a warehouse in Incheon burned because someone stole from a shipment. Witnessed him negotiate a deal worth 50 million while simultaneously having background conversations about disposing of a rival. He never raised his voice. Never showed emotion. That made him infinitely more terrifying. But he was also brilliant. His mind worked 3 steps ahead of everyone, anticipating moves in the criminal chess game with precision that bordered on supernatural. And despite herself, Amara found she respected that intelligence, even as she feared the man who wielded it. 3 weeks into her captivity/employment, Mrs. Kong summoned her to the formal sitting room. The entire Kong family was assembled, Min-jun in his wheelchair looking annoyed, his younger brother Kong Sung-ho smirking, various aunts and uncles arranged on expensive furniture, and Mrs. Kong holding court like a queen. "We have made a decision regarding Min-jun's future," the matriarch announced in Korean. "It has been 3 years since the accident. 3 years without an heir, without stability in leadership. The other families sense weakness." Min-jun's jaw tightened minutely. "Mother. You will marry," she continued, ignoring him. "We have selected an appropriate bride." Amara shifted uncomfortably, wondering why she'd been called to this family meeting. Mrs. Kang's eyes locked on her. "Miss Okafor will become your wife." The room erupted. Amara shot to her feet, responding in Korean. "Absolutely not. You can't just. You dare refuse?" An uncle stood, face red with anger, switching to English. "You, some African nobody, think you're too good for this family? I think arranged marriages without consent are wrong." Amara shot back. "Sit down, all of you," Min-jun's quiet voice cut through the chaos. Everyone obeyed instantly. He turned his wheelchair to face his mother. "Explain. She's already in the organization, she's proven useful, and frankly, no respectable Korean family will marry into ours given your condition." Mrs. Kang's bluntness was brutal. "This way, we get an heir, we keep her skills secured, and we present a united front. She's expendable if it doesn't work." "I'm right here." Amara interjected. Min-jun studied her for a long moment. "What do you want, Miss Okafor?" "Really want?" The question surprised her with its directness. "I want my freedom. I want my family safe. I want to live my life. Marry me, and I guarantee all 3. He spoke as if proposing a business merger, not a marriage. 1-year contract marriage. You play the dutiful wife in public, continue your authentication work, provide an heir if possible. In exchange, your family receives financial security for life, full protection, and after the year, you can choose to leave with enough money to go anywhere in the world. And if I say no?" His expression didn't change. "Then you remain an employee under current terms, and I find another bride. Your position becomes significantly less secure." It was a trap dressed as a choice. But as Amara looked at the hostile faces around the room, at Mrs. Kang's calculating expression, at Min-jun's impassive features, she realized something. As his wife, she'd have power. Protection. A position these vultures couldn't easily dismiss. "I want it in writing," she said firmly in Korean. "Every term. Every guarantee." The smallest hint of approval flickered in Min-jun's eyes. Done. The wedding happened within a week at a private estate in Jeju Island, a lavish affair that combined Korean and Nigerian traditions in a display meant to project power and unity. Amara wore a custom hanbok for the ceremony and a gorgeous Nigerian asook for the reception, looking every inch the bride even as her heart hammered with anxiety. Min-jun remained in his wheelchair throughout, his expression unreadable as they exchanged vows that meant nothing and everything. The reception was when she got her first real taste of the world she'd married into. Wealthy elites from across Asia mingled with barely concealed criminal underlords. A Korean woman in diamonds approached with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, speaking in rapid Korean. "So you're the bride. How unexpected." Tell me, dear, can you even use chopsticks properly, or is that too difficult? Amara smiled pleasantly, responding in flawless Korean. I use chopsticks perfectly, thank you. I also noticed that the jade bracelet you're wearing is a fake. The quality's so poor it's probably worth less than my authentic coral beads. Perhaps you should worry about your own authenticity. The woman's face went white, then red. She turned on her heel and stalked away. Amara felt eyes on her and turned to find Min-jun watching from across the room, the faintest smile playing at his lips. He raised his glass slightly in acknowledgement. But not everyone was so easily dismissed. Min-jun's brother Sung-ho cornered her near the champagne fountain, speaking in English. Don't get comfortable, sister-in-law. Everyone knows why you're really here. The moment you fail to produce an heir or make a mistake with the business, you're gone. My brother doesn't keep useless things. Is that what happened to the last authenticator? Amara challenged in Korean. Or did your rivals kill her because security was compromised? His face darkened. Watch your tongue. Or what? I'm family now. Unless you plan to explain to your mother why the bride disappeared on her wedding night. He leaned in close, switching to Korean. My brother might be crippled, but I'm not. Remember that some of us in this family still have real power. Sung-ho. Min-jun's voice cut across the space like a blade. He'd wheeled over silently. Our guests are asking for you. Do go entertain them. The brothers stared at each other, some unspoken challenge passing between them, before Sung-ho smiled coldly and walked away. Min-jun gestured for Amara to follow him to a quieter corner overlooking Jeju's volcanic landscape. My brother is ambitious and stupid, a dangerous combination, he said quietly in Korean. Don't trust him. I don't trust anyone here, Amara replied honestly. Good. That might keep you alive. He paused, his dark eyes searching her face. You handled yourself well today. Better than I expected. Did you expect me to crumble? Most people do in this world. He turned his wheelchair toward the floor-to-ceiling windows. You're stronger than you look, Amara Okafor. That's useful. I'm not a tool, she said quietly. No, he agreed. You're my wife now. That's far more dangerous. Drop a comment below and tell me what you think Amara should do. Is Min-jun protecting her or just using her? Let me know your thoughts. The first month of marriage was a strange dance of proximity and distance. They shared a wing of the mansion but separate bedrooms. Min-jun worked 18-hour days running his empire while Amara managed the art authentication side of the business. She was good at it, discovering 2 major forgery operations and saving the organization millions. But the family remained hostile. At a formal dinner, Mrs. Kang assigned Amara the task of physically helping Min-jun with his rehabilitation exercises, a job clearly meant to humiliate them both. Your husband needs daily massage therapy for his legs, she announced in front of everyone. As his wife, this is your duty. Amara felt heat rise in her cheeks, but Min-jun's expression remained carved from stone. Mother, I have therapists. Who cost money and aren't family. She'll do it. That night, Amara entered Min-jun's private quarters with massage oils and profound awkwardness. He sat on a specialized bench, already changed into loose pants, his expression unreadable. You don't have to do this, he said quietly in Korean. Yes, I do. She'll punish us both if I refuse. Amara set down the oils, responding in his language. Besides, I looked it up. Proper massage can help with nerve regeneration and circulation. Something flickered in his expression. Surprise, maybe. You researched it? I don't do anything halfway. The massages became routine. In those quiet evening hours, the ice around Min-jun began to crack slightly. He told her about the accident, a car bomb in Gangnam meant for his father that he'd intercepted. Told her about the months of pain, the realization he'd never walk again, the way the organization's rivals had immediately circled like sharks. They thought I was finished, he said one evening as her hands worked the tense muscles of his calves. Weak. Easy to eliminate. I spent 2 years proving them wrong with extreme prejudice. How many people have you killed? Amara asked, then immediately regretted it. But he answered honestly. Personally? 17. Ordered? More than I count. His eyes met hers. Does that frighten you? Yes, she admitted. But everything about this world frightens me. You're just honest about being a monster. And you're honest about seeing me as one. Refreshing. He caught her wrist gently as she reached for more oil. Why did you really agree to marry me? The truth. Amara sat back, considering. Because as your wife, I have power. As an employee, I was disposable. You taught me that, in your world, position is survival. He smiled, a real smile this time that transformed his face into something almost beautiful. You learn fast. The next escalation came at the opening of their legitimate business front, an exclusive art gallery in Gangnam, Seoul's most prestigious district. Amara had curated the collection personally, a stunning mix of African and Asian pieces that drew Korea's elite and international collectors. She wore a custom-made emerald gown, her natural hair styled in an elegant updo, and for the first time since this nightmare began, she felt like herself. Powerful. Competent. Then the whispers started. A group of wealthy Korean businessmen, associates of the Kang family, stood near a sculpture speaking in Korean, assuming she wouldn't understand. Can you believe Min Jun married that? A black woman from Africa. I heard she doesn't even understand our culture. How embarrassing for the family. It's because he's desperate. No real woman wants a cripple, so he settled for. Amara walked directly up to them, speaking in perfect Korean. Gentlemen, I understand every word you're saying. I may be from Lagos, but I'm not ignorant. And the sculpture you're standing beside? The one you assumed was Chinese? It's actually Benin Kingdom bronze work from the 16th century, worth more than all your watches combined. Perhaps focus less on my background and more on your own education. The men's faces went pale. Behind them, Min Jun appeared in his wheelchair, and his expression was terrifying despite its calmness. These gentlemen were just leaving, he said quietly in Korean. And I believe their companies will find their import licenses mysteriously delayed next quarter. Indefinitely. After they fled, Min Jun looked up at Amara with something that might have been pride. Your Korean is flawless. I don't do anything halfway, she repeated her earlier words. No, he agreed. You don't. But the evening's drama wasn't over. During the champagne toast, one of the waiters bumped into Amara, spilling red wine across her emerald gown. She gasped, stepping back, only to see the waiter's hand moving inside his jacket. Time slowed. She saw the gun. Saw it rising toward Min Jun, who had his back turned. Without thinking, Amara threw her champagne glass. It struck the waiter's hand just as he fired, the shot going wild into the ceiling. Chaos erupted. Min Jun's guards tackled the shooter. Guests screamed and ran. But Min Jun wheeled himself to Amara, gripping her arm. Are you hurt? No, you could have died. His eyes blazed with something fierce. You saved my life. Security swept them out a back entrance and into an armored car. As they sped through Seoul's nighttime streets back to the mountain estate, Amara's hands began shaking with delayed shock. Min Jun pulled her against him, one arm around her shoulders, solid and surprisingly warm. Breathe, he commanded gently in Korean. You're safe. Someone just tried to kill you at our gallery opening. 14th attempt on my life since the accident. But the first time anyone not paid to do so threw themselves in the way. His hand cupped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. Why did you do that? I don't know, she whispered. But she did know. Somewhere in the massages, the late-night conversations, the way he defended her against his family, she'd started to care about this cold, dangerous man. Min Jun seemed to read it in her expression. His thumb brushed across her cheek, and for one breathless moment, Amara thought he might kiss her. Instead, he released her and turned away. We need to find out who sent that assassin. This changes things. The investigation revealed the plot originated from within the family. Sung-ho had hired the assassin, planning to take over the organization after Min-jun's death. The evidence was undeniable: money transfers, communications, everything. The family gathered in the formal dining room for what Amara now understood was essentially a trial. Sung-ho stood before them, defiant even in the face of exposure. "You're weak," he spat at Min-jun in Korean. "You married some African woman, you hide behind your wheelchair, you've made us soft." Soft? Min-jun's voice was dangerously quiet. He pulled a handgun from his wheelchair and placed it on the table. "You think I'm weak, little brother? You tried to kill me and endangered my wife. There are consequences." Mrs. Kong stepped forward. "He's still blood, Min-jun. And he still tried to kill me." Min-jun's eyes never left his brother. "You have two choices. Take that gun, leave this compound, and never return. Disappear and I'll tell people you're dead. Or stay, and I'll make it true." The room held its collective breath. Amara watched Sung-ho's face cycle through rage, fear, and finally self-preservation. He grabbed the gun and ran. After he was gone, Min-jun addressed the family in Korean. "Anyone else question my leadership?" "No." "Good." He turned to Amara, switching to English. "Come." She followed him to his private study, heart pounding. Once inside, he slumped slightly in his wheelchair, and she realized the confrontation had cost him more than he'd shown. "You gave him mercy," she said softly in Korean. "I gave him exile. Mercy would have been a quick death." He looked up at her, and for the first time, she saw exhaustion in his eyes. "You were right earlier. I am a monster." Amara moved to kneel beside his wheelchair, taking his hand. "You're a man doing monstrous things to survive in a monstrous world. That's different. Is it?" "I don't know," she admitted. "But you also protected me. Defended me. Avenged an attack on my dignity. Monsters don't do that." His hand tightened on hers. "Amara, this life, my life, it's dangerous. Violent. Today proved that." "I know. And you're still here." She met his eyes steadily. "I'm still here." Min-jun pulled her up and into his lap with surprising strength, his arms wrapping around her. When he kissed her, it was nothing like she'd expected, not cold or calculating, but passionate, almost desperate. Like a man who'd been alone for so long he'd forgotten what connection felt like. When they finally broke apart, breathless, he rested his forehead against hers. "I never expected you. I never expected any of this." She laughed shakily. 2 months ago, I was authenticating pottery in a small Seoul studio. Now I'm married to a mafia boss, running an art empire, and apparently stopping assassins. Regret it? She thought about her answer carefully. "Ask me again in a year." His smile was genuine this time, transforming his features into something beautiful and slightly heartbreaking. "I might not let you go after the year. You might not have a choice. We'll see. If you've made it this far, you're amazing. Smash that like button and subscribe because we're posting more incredible romance stories like this every week. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next." The months that followed transformed their contract marriage into something real. Amara expanded their legitimate art business into a genuinely profitable enterprise while quietly helping Min-jun consolidate power in the organization. She learned the intricate dance of his world, when to be soft, when to be steel, how to navigate the complex politics of criminal enterprise without losing herself. She also learned to navigate Seoul as Mrs. Kong, no longer the struggling foreign art expert but a woman with power and position. The stares she received on the streets changed from curious to respectful, sometimes fearful. The Korean language flowed more naturally from her tongue. She even started learning to prepare Korean dishes, surprising Min-jun one evening with a homemade bulgogi that made him laugh with delight. Min-jun, in turn, showed her sides of himself he'd kept hidden. His dry humor. His unexpected love of classical music. The way he'd learned Nigerian phrases to surprise her, his accent terrible but endearing. He was still ruthless when needed, still capable of terrifying violence, but with her, he was simply Min-jun. The man, not the mafia boss. Their one-year anniversary arrived with a quiet dinner in the mansion's private garden overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. No family, no guards, just them under strings of lights that made everything feel almost normal. Our contract ends tonight, Min-jun said in Korean, holding a glass of wine. You're free to leave if you want. I'll honor all the terms. Amara had thought about this moment for months. Thought about her old life in Lagos, the freedom she'd lost, the danger she'd accepted. But she'd also thought about the man who'd learned to smile because of her. Who'd slowly opened his heart despite the armor he'd built around it. I want to renegotiate, she said in Korean. His expression remained neutral, but she'd learned to read the tension in his shoulders. What terms? No contract this time. No obligation. Just a choice. Every day, we both choose to stay. That's terrifying, he admitted quietly, switching to English. Love is terrifying, she agreed. Is that what this is? His voice was soft, vulnerable in a way she'd never heard. Amara moved to sit on his lap, cupping his face in her hands. You tell me, Kang Min-jun. The cold mafia boss who learned to feel again. What is this? He kissed her slowly, reverently. It's everything I never knew I needed. Then we agree on the new terms? We do. He smiled against her lips. My terrifying, brilliant, impossible wife. Your willing wife, she corrected. That's the difference now. As they sat together under the lights with Seoul spread below them, Amara reflected on the impossible journey from that auction house to this moment. She'd been kidnapped, forced into marriage, thrown into a world of violence and crime. By all rights, she should hate this life, hate him. Instead, she'd found her power. Found her place in a country thousands of miles from home. Found love in the most unexpected person. Min-jun was still a mafia boss. Still ruthless, still dangerous, still operated in a world of shadows and blood. That hadn't changed. But neither had she changed who she was, she'd simply become stronger, sharper, more formidable. Together, they were building an empire, both criminal and legitimate. And if the path was dangerous, if their future was uncertain, at least they were facing it as partners. Real partners, not contract obligations. What are you thinking? Min-jun asked in Korean, his hand tracing patterns on her back. That I should have known the moment you wheeled into that auction house that my life would never be the same. Regret it? She pretended to consider. Ask me again tomorrow. He laughed, the sound rich and genuine. And the day after that? And every day after. She kissed him softly. That's how this works now. We choose each other, every single day. I choose you, he said seriously in English, then switching to Korean. Today, tomorrow, and every day you'll have me. Even though I'm a foreign woman who doesn't understand Korean culture, she teased in Korean, echoing those cruel words from so long ago. Especially because of that. You're real in a world of fakes. Including me sometimes. His expression grew intense. You make me want to be better, Amara. Not less dangerous, I can't be that in this world. But more, human. You're human, Min-jun, complicated, dangerous, but human. She rested her head on his shoulder. We both are. Just trying to survive and maybe, possibly, find happiness in the chaos. Have you found happiness? She thought about the question seriously. Her life was nothing she'd planned. She lived in Seoul, not Lagos. She was married to a Korean mafia boss who ordered deaths as easily as breakfast. Her world was built on crime and violence, on art smuggling and money laundering, on secrets that could destroy lives. But she also had power now. Resources to help her family back home, to fund scholarships for African students studying in Korea, to make real change. She had intellectual challenges that excited her brilliant mind. She had respect from people who once dismissed her, a position people feared, and influence that reached across continents. And she had him. The cold mafia boss who smiled only for her. Who'd learned to be vulnerable, to trust, to love despite the tremendous risk it posed in his world. Who'd chosen her, a black woman from Lagos, despite everything his family and society said? Yes, she answered finally in Korean. I found happiness. Not the happiness I expected, but something real. Min-jun held her tighter. Then we're both fortunate. They sat together as night deepened around them, Seoul's lights twinkling like stars below their mountain fortress. Two impossible people who'd found each other in the most impossible way. A Nigerian woman and a Korean mafia boss. An art expert and a criminal mastermind. A forced marriage that became a love story. The future was uncertain, dangerous, filled with challenges they'd face together. But for this moment, in this garden overlooking the city, they were simply Min-jun and Amara. Husband and wife by choice now, not contract. Partners in both crime and love. And somehow, impossibly, that was enough. Thank you so much for watching this story until the very end. If you loved Amara and Min-jun's journey from forced marriage to real love in the heart of Seoul, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our next upload. Drop a comment telling me which part was your favorite. Was it when she saved him from the assassin or when he defended her honor? Give this video a thumbs up and share it with anyone who loves mafia romance stories. Should I continue their story and show what happens next? Let me know below. More incredible Afro-Korean romance coming soon, so I'll see you in the next video.